Alrighty, welcome back Padawans to the Jedi Gaming Academy channel. And today, I have got a special Holocron minute for all of you guys. And it's because it is talking about one of the newest Star Wars games on the horizon, Star Wars Outlaws by Ubisoft. Now, if you know, you know. If you've seen any of my videos, you've seen the Star Wars stuff behind me. Trust me, it goes up. There's a lot more Star Wars memorabilia on this shelf right here, okay? You can see the tattoos. I've got a plethora of tattoos. All of them are Star Wars based. Got my new lightsaber right behind me, a part of the set. So obviously, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars. Like maybe too big, but that's okay. We're not going to talk about how big of a fan, all right? Because it's never a problem. You can never be too big of a fan. Anyway, my point is, I digress. We are going to be talking about Jedi Survivor. Not Survivor, I apologize. That game already passed. We are going to be talking about Star Wars Outlaws today. And I am pulling this from IGN. This comes from Rebecca Valentine. And we're finding out some different pieces of information from the San Diego Comic-Con regarding this game. And one thing in particular is something that popped up on my feed and I was like, oh my God, we need to discuss. So, without further ado, let's jump into this article here by Rebecca Valentine. She writes, "You can work for and even betray Jabba the Hutt in Star Wars Outlaws." Developers from Ubisoft Massive and their compatriots over at Lucasfilm shared a number of new details today with IGN at San Diego Comic-Con regarding Star Wars Outlaws and the two locations revealed for the game thus far, the new moon Toshara and Tatooine, including, yes, that you can both work for and betray, if you want, Jabba the Hutt. Speaking to IGN, director Julian Garrity, I apologize if I mispronounced that, says that Toshara is inspired by the Eastern African savanna and was specifically designed with heroine Kay Vess's speeder, which, yes, is at least somewhat customizable in mind, with lots of wide open plains. The team even visited Tanzania for inspiration. Quote, "We start off with a biome, in this case, Southeast African biomes as an inspiration, and then you put a twist on it to make it feel a little bit alien," end quote, Garrity said. Quote again, "If you think of the first shots, maybe not the first shots, but the first," they have a little typo here, but the shots of Tatooine. Beautiful, recognizable architecture, but two suns. For us, it's having this huge mountain and carved into it the amberine of the mountain. The crystalline substance is a city, and these outcroppings of orange, very reflective material. That's what brings the really alien nature to it. Familiar, but fresh," end quote. Lucasfilm senior creative executive Matt Martin then stepped in to mention Lucasfilm's 80-20 rule of designing locations that are 80% familiar, but 20% alien or fantastical. In this case, the East African inspiration is the familiar, but the city and the massive outcroppings of crystal are the 20% fantastical. Later in a panel on the subject at SDCC, the group gave even more detail. Tatooine was evoked again as a somewhat similar landscape with large, barren expanses. But as it was put on the panel, it's not just about recreating Tatooine. It's about creating a place with its own sense of history. That was a quote. Quote, "When we first thought about where to bring Kay," Grady said, "Lucasfilm Games encouraged us to create our own locations, and Toshara was born out of that challenge. How would Massive build the open world? That hive of scum and villainy," end quote. Toshara specifically has been designed with the aim of letting players live out the Scoundrel fantasy Massive is building around Kay. They mentioned not just the city carved into a giant rock and the plains surrounding it, but the use of wind power connecting the plains to the city. But, of course, Outlaws will also visit Tatooine, like pretty much every other recent Star Wars media entry. Okay, well, let's give it a break. Quote, "If you close your eyes and give people a choice to go anywhere in Tatooine, Mos Eisley, and specifically one watering hole in Mos Eisley, the opportunity is that you can see all the nooks and crannies. You can see all the things that are informed by the Lucasfilm archives," end quote. This concept of virtual tourism is important to us. If you've ever wondered the distances from the moisture farms to the cantina, we have an experience for you, end quote. "We'll also be spending a lot of time at Jabba's palace. it sounds like running missions for the Hutt himself and navigating the criminal underworld, he's at the center of it. And yes, it's possible not just to work for Jabba, but also to betray him, which of course has its own set of consequences. Unfortunately, we didn't get any new looks at gameplay or new trailers during today's panel, but hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer for more. Star Wars Outlaws is expected to release in 2024. Alright guys, so that is all that we've got from Rebecca for today. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really, we all read that one first and foremost together, alright? So I didn't proofread this one. I saw the headline, I'm like, let's go right in, because come on. I want to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. You're telling me that we can betray Jabba the Hutt, that Jabba the Hutt's in this game, which, in the grand scheme of things, I probably should have thought about, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, we are an outlaw in between the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi era. So, during that era, we do know that Jabba is, functioning and he is running a criminal underworld at that moment in time. So, it's weird that I didn't think about that, but seeing this headline is like, so not only can we work for him, but I can betray Mr. Man as well. Color me intrigued. Because I gotta say, it's Jabba. If I have a chance to double cross him and, make his life a little bit harder, I'm going to. Because we know what he's done to our beloved characters and how much he has taken from them and taken from really everybody involved in Star Wars. And not everybody, but, the people of Tatooine. And we see that with how he goes out and he takes Han Solo. You know what I mean? Takes him and puts him in carbonite and then keeps him on a wall as a trophy. Come on, bro. You don't need to be here anymore. So if I can make his life just a little bit of a hair harder, I'm going to. But let's jump into the meat of what we discussed here, which is this new moon that they've created called Toshara. Now, at the beginning of this, I did say Jedi Survivor. And obviously, as we're on the run-up to Star Wars Outlaws, very much thinking about Star Wars Jedi Survivors in relation to this game. And what Outlaws can take from Survivor and from Fallen Order to really, make this a better game. And I'm not saying that the game isn't good right now, but I'm just saying they did such a good job telling that Star Wars story between Fallen Order and Survivor that is probably some of the best video game Star Wars stories that we have seen ever in games, at least for me personally, that I have seen. Because I know people out there, Savoy Prime is one of them, who love KOTOR, and they're going to say, oh, well, the KOTOR game is phenomenal. Well, guess what? I haven't played KOTOR because I don't like turn-based games, so unfortunately, I don't have that to go off of, okay? I only have Jedi Survivor and, The Force Unleashed, but we're not going to talk about that game. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but, we're not going to talk about that game. We're going to stick with Jedi Survivor being the top of the game, all right? Anyway, my point is, Star Wars Outlaws should, take some notes from there. Show, let's kind of discuss what they did, how they came about telling this story, what they used, what story elements did they use to convey Cal's story, and see if they can give that to Miss K here. Because I'm telling you, having a Scoundrel story where we're not dealing with, the big powerful Jedi, that intrigues me. That intrigues me because she's going to feel like a more grounded character than anybody that we've dealt with before in this franchise. And again, KOTOR, you were able to choose multiple different, characters and different paths that you want to go on. You didn't have to be a Jedi. You could be a scoundrel if you wanted to, a smuggler, some might say. But that's not what we have seen as of late, and the majority of games that we do see, they are frequent in, the Jedi powers, which, again, is all fine and dandy, but there are more than just Jedi in this world, and that's the point that I want to get to and what I want to, I want to see them explore, and this is a way that I can see them explore that with this game and with Kay's story, and seeing that we're going to be playing on these different worlds. I love hearing that we're going back to Tatooine, and I threw shade at Miss Rebecca over here because you might have thought I was throwing shade at Tatooine. No, I wasn't throwing shade at Tatooine. I'm throwing shade that people got a problem with us going to Tatooine so much. I love it, okay? That's the 2 moons, bro. That's the OG planet. I want to go see that again. If you're going to let me run wild in an open world Tatooine, guess what? I've never been able to do that before in a video game, so yes, I want Tatooine here. And not saying that I'm like, if it's not here, then what are you doing? No, but a welcome surprise that we are going to be going to Tatooine in this game, because I mean, I love that planet, you know what I mean? But more importantly, Toshara being this new planet, and the fact that they are taking inspiration from the Eastern African savannah. You know what I mean? I said savannah, whatever. But the Eastern African savannah is where that inspiration is coming from. Obviously, as you can see, I'm a black man. So yeah, that is intriguing to me. That is really cool that I'm going to see, some inspiration from the African lineage in this game, in a Star Wars game. Never once would I have thought that was going to happen, but here it is. It's going to. And the fact that Toshara seems like it's going to have a bigger role to play in the overarching story, maybe that's your hub world. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the first world that I think that's the world that we see her in. When we got the first gameplay reveal, I think it is because of how, she was using her speeder bike. They said specifically, this world was created for her and her speeder. So it does look like that was Toshara. And I love when we get new planets, new moons, whatever it may be. I love when we get the new stuff to be able to explore and go to, because yeah, again, they have Tatooine in here. We all know Tatooine, if you know Star Wars. But you don't have to always go to the same places that you went to. In Star Wars Jedi Survivor, we got to go to Coruscant. I was over the moon to be able to go to Coruscant, but guess what? The main game did not take place there. The main game takes place in Kobo. And Kobo, I believe, is, again, a planet that was made specifically for Jedi Survivor. And now it is a part of the Star Wars universe, the Star Wars mythos. You know what I mean? Like, we are there. Somebody can run with that in a book and tell a story of how, maybe smugglers got stranded, as we're talking about smugglers, got stranded on Kobo, and what they had to do to combat that scenario. And it just really gets me excited to see the stories that can be made when you don't have anything tied to this planet that you're creating. It's all completely for this game, why they made it. So I'm very excited to see that, yeah, Toshara is a new area, world, because it's not a planet, it's a moon, but it's a new area that we can explore that we've never done so in any form of Star Wars media before. And then we still have the tried and true stuff like Tatooine that we get to go and explore too. And again, I don't know how many planets there are going to be in this game. It hasn't been stated as of yet, but there are going to be a decent amount from what I'm hearing. And I would go on a limb and say that there's got to be more than what we saw in Jedi Survivor. Now, Jedi Survivor, they did bump it up. I believe they gave us 6 planets, if I'm not mistaken, but it was only one extra area that we could go to than Fallen Order. And that's how they said, oh yeah, there's going to be more places to go than Fallen Order. One more place to go than Fallen Order. But again, it is what it is. I didn't make the game, and I still love the game regardless. So, they made a good decision there. But it is intriguing to see that Lucasfilm is giving them the reins to be like, look, man, tell your own story. Tell whatever story you want to tell. And if you need to make a new world, yes, we're going to help you create that, help you build the groundwork for those new worlds. But we also want to give you the reins to be able to do what you think is best to tell your story in this game. And the fact that we get that, we've got Jedi Survivor, we got Jedi Fallen Order, right? 2 very, very good Star Wars games. And now we're getting the third entry into this new world where, and again, it's not even new world, because this actually will be the first entry in this new world where EA is not completely over Star Wars games. And I can't wait. I am unbelievably over the moon to see what Ubisoft Massive can do here. Now, obviously, Ubisoft Massive, they are the creators of the Division games, so the first and the second one. And they are making the Avatar Frontiers game. I don't remember the full name of that one, but the Avatar game that's launching this December, they are the ones who made that game. Now, let me tell you this. The reason that they got the rights to Star Wars Outlaws is because of how good the Avatar game looked when Lucasfilm was going around and selling the Star Wars IP to different developers, different studios. Hey, do you want to make a Star Wars game? Do you want to make a Star Wars game? They went to Ubisoft and they looked at Ubisoft Massive in their portfolio. They saw the Avatar game and they were like, you are going to make us a Star Wars game. We want Ubisoft Massive on this. And this is going to be what comes of that. So not only is Avatar something to look out for, because we wouldn't have this game here if it wasn't for how good of a game Lucasfilm thought Avatar was already in pre-production. So I can't wait to play that game, number one. But I definitely cannot wait for Star Wars Outlaws because, boy, it looks fantastic. Now, the Jabba the Hutt stuff, I wish that we got a little bit more information on, to see if they, how that's going to play out. If he, if you got to keep going back to him and getting missions from him, just a little bit more information on his role in Star Wars Outlaws. But again, I'm still okay with it because that means that I get to go in blind. That means that we don't have to know all of the pieces, but we do know that he is giving out work and he can be betrayed. And I'm all for it because, again, Jabba Hutt, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, but you're a little annoying, and I don't really care for you. I'm gonna be right up. I'm gonna look right down the camera. I don't care for you, Jabba, and if you come for me, you gonna catch these hands, bro. You gonna catch these hands. Anyway, so very intrigued. Like that we get to, we can do work with him. We can side and go the other route. I love the new planets that they're going to be presented, or that are going to be presented here. And again, I don't think that Toshara is the only planet, the only new one. I don't think that it is. I feel like we're going to be having at least one other new planet that is special for Star Wars Outlaws. And the hope and the goal is that hopefully we see that planet discussed, talked about, or even we go to that planet in another form of media. Same thing with Kay as herself. I hope after this game, she becomes a canon character. Because I don't know how they decide if a character is going to be canon in Star Wars, like in the video game sense, but obviously Cal Kestis is. Cal Kestis is very much a part of the Star Wars mythos at this point. And I don't know if we're waiting to see how well Kay is as a character to make her canon, or if she's just canon out the gate, you know what I mean? But I am very excited for this game, as you can imagine, as you can think, and as you can see from listening to this video. And I'm just saying 2024 cannot come any faster, but that means we still got to get through the rest of this amazing 2023 that we're having in the video game space. Because I got to tell you, man, Final Fantasy 16 is still very good. It's still very good, and I cannot wait for the next game to come out on release. And, oh, well, really, the next one that I'm super excited for, Spider-Man 2, baby. Come on now, come on! I can't wait for that game. But also can't wait for Star Wars Outlaws. Anyway, guys, I have been your host, Jedi Master Ren, and I will see you next time on the halls of the Jedi Gaming Academy. May the Force be with you.